Y'all didn't hear my music. Hey, Elise. Hey. Did y'all hear the music? Y'all didn't hear the music that whole time? Can you hear me now? Mic check, mic check. That's crazy. Mic check. Can y'all hear me now? Oh, okay. They're saying they hear me now. I didn't press the button. I'm glad y'all hit the button. I was like, oh no, all that time the music was playing for like 5 minutes. Okay, good. And it's clear. Good. All right. So we got a lot to think about. Like our history, because our history was written out, and now it's like we're scrambling to make it all make sense and define who we damn we got 1,000 people watching. Oh, it's like we're scrambling because our history has been so left out, and it's always been about the United States. Hey, go forward. It's always been like only about the United States history, and we're actually a people that exist. I love you with all them strawberries. It's like hey T Brown, it's like we're scrambling and researching and finding out so much information, trying to figure out who's who and who's definitely who is who, and understanding by, like trying not to look at this with a narrow mind, because you definitely can't look at history with a narrow mind, because the more you're exposed to, the more you can the more you're exposed to, the more you can feel your ancestors. You really can feel your ancestors the more you research and the more you look up what the hell was going on over here. And I'm speaking about North America, mainland, okay? And on these lands. And today, as late as 2020, we have uh, intern students at universities writing about our history and making it make sense. And, understanding that we were Indians here, indigenous people, aborigines, aborigines. And the more you look into it, Native Americans really are people that were on the landmass in the southwestern parts, lands like um, New Mexico, California. This is where you have Mexicans at, and they literally had, some of them had babies with our ancestors. Okay, they were not in the and literally people come from that lived on, or Indians that already lived on the landmass of California. We were all over this map, period, point blank. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. Hi, Jews. We're gonna get into it because they did not live in the areas where our ancestors lived freely and moved freely as Indians, like here in the north and in the southern states. The southern states back as far back has always been predominantly people that look like me. And there were, and you have to remember, in the colonial states in the South, they didn't have that many. It was just South Carolina and Virginia. Hey, Copper Engine, pretty girl. And we got to make sense, make stuff make sense. And the thing that the problem that we're facing, and we got to figure this out together. Now, I do believe that there were at least three distinct people dating from, we were always here, first of all, before anybody got here. We are from this soil. We're aborigines, my people. But then you have to get to the point where, well, who's us and who ain't us? Because Or what society did with their narrow-mindedness is took all people with brown skin and put them in one bundle. Instead of they're all African Americans. No, we're not. Now, we did have what you call, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say this. We had black Europeans here. We did. We had black Europeans here. Okay. And then we had white Europeans here and the Aborigines, Indians. Okay. Facts. That's three distinct people. There were literally black Europeans here. Okay. And the Indians gave them their areas of land where they could operate. Hey, Collect 73 and Overly Articulated. And we got to figure this out. So, what I've been doing, I was so exhausted yesterday, and I apologize, you guys, but I was over on Star's channel. Y'all remember Star and Buckwild? Now, I know Star. I grew up with Star, okay? And we watched him as teenagers and grown folks. He kept us going through the day, and I love Star. And I do. I love Star. But he was like off the chain. I think Star was drinking yesterday because he was talking about his pee-pee. Hey, Lady Libra. So what I want to do, you guys, is get into some research that I'm still working on. And Willie said that he thinks I'm onto something, but I do too. Because when the colonizers came over here, they came with black Europeans. Can we at least agree this? When these colonizers came over here, they came with the worst of worst of what was in England, and they were indentured servants and slaves, as we call it, okay? And there were black ones right along with white ones. A lot of them were children. Can I get a 1 if we can agree to that? Right? Can we at least agree to that? When the colonizers came here to colonize in their little colonies, black Europeans and white Europeans came here. Now, the striking difference of black Europeans and white Europeans and us, okay, my people here on the mainland, the striking difference between these people from Europe, black Europeans and white Europeans, the difference between us and them, we don't have British accents. Black Europeans and white Europeans do. That's the striking difference. We don't have British accents, and we never did. And I need y'all to give me a 1 because y'all got to roll with me. Give me a 1. The original Aboriginal people of this land did not have British accents. However, black Europeans and white Europeans had British accents. All right, right? So now, when we talk about the southern states, you have people that look like me. We have southern accents. Keep giving me 1s as long as I'm right. We have southern accents. In the north, we have northern accents. Now, when I speak, it's very clear and obvious that I have a northern accent. Hi, Ruby baby. I have a northern accent. Now, people from the South that emigrated to places like the Midwest, they have, a lot of them have southern accents. because they came from out of southern states into the inner cities. And those Indians from the north and the south, because when they emigrate from the south to the north, we know their accents, but we also know there are people with those accents. We know that they are our people and they are aboriginal to this land. Your northern Indian and southern Indians, we know each other. We know the aborigines from this soil, because you're either going to have a southern accent or you're going to have a northern accent. And that's a fact. Foreigners that come in here, they come in here with their accents off the rip. So now, that is the greatest distinction between aborigines of this land. Now, when people come here and live and they grow up, they take on our accents. We didn't get these accents from English colonizers. Something happened where the Europeans that are over here, they lose their British accents. And for some reason, they end up with our accents if they lived in the South. And that's a fact. So you can't say that we assumed their accents as a people, as aborigines. We didn't. We had our accent and they had theirs. They had British accents. We didn't have that. Now, when they begin talking like us with Southern accents, they've assumed our accents. Give me a 1 if I'm right or if I'm wrong. So Southern accents are our accents, our accents. We always had them. And we always had Northern accents. Correct. These accents that we speak, yeah, girl, like from the South, that's from us aborigines of the soil. So when they began doing business with us and living on our lands, they adopted our Southern accents and our Northern accents because they came in here with their own accents. So now that's something to keep in your head. So now let's see who is who over here, because I'm so tired of it. I do know that there were Black Europeans here and they're still coming here. There's a difference between us and them. And if we as aborigines were forcefully or voluntarily emigrated into the United States government, history tells you that there's a distinct people, very distinct people, that are not allowed jobs, that are not presidents, senators. Oh, we got to figure this out. So before I say anything further, let's get down with the slides. Let's get it with the slides, because I know everyone remembers what I lectured on. So who is who? So now let's just take it there. Now you already know that in 1751, when Benjamin, and I believe this to my core, this document is a primary source because it was written in the time. That's what this is a primary source. It was written, it's a transcript. If you look it up, transcripts The federal level. This man wrote from the federal level. This is a transcript of Benjamin Franklin, what he wrote, and it was based on his observations over here and, in other areas. We already done went through this. So we already know. Based on what he wrote here, there wasn't that many white Europeans over here. Just based on what he wrote. Which leads me to believe, which leads me to add one remark. This is what Ben Franklin is saying, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionably very small. All Africa is black or tawny. He's talking about skin complexion. Asia is chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. So we know, based on what Benjamin Franklin is saying in this transcript, that America is wholly so of blacks and tawnies. If you look at my avatar, I am a tawny complexion. I'm tawny. And you can look up tawny. Now, this is America. And in Europe now, he named the specific places in Europe. And in Europe, the Spaniards, the Italians, the French, the Russians, the Swedens are generally what we call a swarthy complexion. This is how we know he's talking about skin color, because he's saying complexion, as are the Germans also. All right? This is anybody, and all these people that have come here are from these specific areas of Europe. He wanted to bring the white ones because there was too many. We were already wholly so. It was loaded. America was loaded wholly so with blacks and tawnies. And in here, he is telling them that he wish he can increase. He said he wished their numbers could increase, and that he is partial to the complexion of my country. But he goes in the last sentence, but perhaps I'm partial to the complexion, that skin color of my country. The complexion of his country is the English. He's partial. So, what his statements saying, perhaps I'm partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. So that statement could be taken in two ways, meaning he is being biased and he only want his people over here, meaning purely white, or he's just being biased and he he could be a mulatto, but he's saying he's partial to the complexion of his country. So we wanted more white people here. He was a slave. Benjamin Franklin was a slave. So he came over here from Europe. His family came over here from Europe, and he was a slave. Literally, you can look that up. He was not an indentured servant, he was a slave. So he could have been a light-skinned slave. And I don't know if Ben Franklin was swarthy because he's talking about being partial to the complexion of his country. Where is his country? Is his country America? Because he's a slave. He was born in America, Ben Franklin. So what country is he talking about? Yeah, he worked his way out. So that's that. So y'all can determine. He wanted to exclude all blacks and tawnies. So here we go. He said the sack after he said the Germans, the Russians, the Swedens, the French, the Italians, the Spaniards were all swarthy complexion. All of them were swarthy complexion, dark, coming from Europe. And America, now Africa is black or tawny. Asia, chiefly tawny. And America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. We were wholly, America was wholly so of just like Africa was, black and tawny, swarthy, swarthy, tawny, whatever. And then he goes into saying, the Saxons only accepted who wished the English make up the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. Now he's talking about the whole goddamn earth, just like the world, the earth. It wasn't that many. And he said, I could wish their numbers were increased. And while we are, as I may call it, scouring our planet by clearing America of woods, and so making this side of our globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus, he's saying, why should we, in the sight of superior beings, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America? Where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies and increasing the lovely white and red. So he's saying in here, why bring people from Africa in here? Because, they needed people to do labor. So he's like, damn, this place is loaded already with a bunch of black and tawny people. So why should we bring more blacks in here in America? Why should we bring them? And he's talking about into their colonies at this point, where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies. Like, don't bring them. We got the opportunity. Okay, let's just get white. And lo and behold, all these ships start coming loaded with white people to the Americas, of increasing the lovely white. All right, so we got that. I'm done. There's no questions about it. They began to bring more white people over here. And this is in 1751, but it didn't happen exactly in 1751. Didn't really start to the 1800s when them ships start coming here. Now, we going some years earlier than 1751 with an argument. All right. Now, I don't know if this is whitewashed, but we're going to get into the argument in the Philadelphia court over some land in Maryland that we already went over. I'm taking you there because you got to know who is who. Now, who was the governor of Maryland in 1744? They're saying this was the governor of Maryland in 1744. Now, they whitewashed history over here like a what. So now I don't know if this dude is white, or I don't know. I don't know if he's a white European or black European originally. I don't know. I don't know. The governor of Maryland was Thomas Bladden. He served in the 19th proprietary governor of Maryland from 1742 to 1747. Bladen is known for organizing the first known instance of ice cream being served in the United States during his time as governor in 1744. Now, I don't know. We're going to find out. Just remember this face, because I don't know if this, I don't know if he was white, a white European, or working in the colony of Maryland, or if he was a black European. But we're going to find out, because people saying that, I mean, I just don't know. Let's just keep going. Now, just remember, this is who they're saying was the governor in Maryland. And I'm saying that for a reason. Now, we're gonna figure this out. Now we're going to this Lancaster courthouse. Okay, we're going to this Lancaster courthouse in 1744. Now, I don't know if listen. I know that this Native American was not the chief of the Iroquois, one of the chiefs. I know that's not him. That's a fake picture. These dudes that look like this was not and ruling in 1744 in they were not ruling. I'm telling you, they were not here in no damn Maryland or around anywhere else. This is not the chief that went in the courthouse in Maryland. Give me a 1. We're gonna see. Now, this is not Chief Canassatego. I'm keeping it a buck. I guarantee you, this was not the man that walked into court. And I don't believe that guy that I don't know that guy that they just showed was the governor of Maryland in no damn 1744. It looked, I am now, if they were fighting with some people in Maryland, it was some black Europeans. Because remember, Ben Franklin, 1744, 10 years later, Ben Franklin was trying to get white people over here. We just read that, y'all, right? So we in 1744 and Lancaster Courthouse, which is in Philadelphia. And I don't believe this Native American was Chief Canassatego. Bullshit. And just because of what he says when he's speaking. Now, I can, I can honestly say that I have reason to believe that in 1744, that might have been the governor of Maryland right there. And we're going to read why. Y'all with me? Give me a 1. Give me a 1. Because that was not the governor of Maryland in 1740. This right here, I believe, could have been the governor of Maryland. Not the previous dude. I'm sorry. I do not believe he was the governor of Maryland. I believe this dude was. Now I'm going to keep going. Damn sure wasn't he was not the Native American, and that was not the governor of Maryland either. Bullshit. Not no 1744. Nope. Sorry. This looks more like who was the Aborigine, Chief Canassatego, and the governor of Maryland. Give me fire if this looks more like it. giving me fire if this looks more like who was getting ready to go in this courthouse to fight over land in Maryland. All right. That more makes more sense based on Benjamin Franklin's transcript. I mean, why is a white guy going to sit up here and lie and say, yo, we need more white people? Can we stop bringing blacks and Tawnies over here? It's enough of them over here. This looks more like who's getting ready to go into court in Maryland to fight over some damn land. I'm going to keep going. I guarantee you that these were not the Indians that marched in court in Maryland. These are not Chief Canassattego's people. Sorry. In the goddamn Lancaster Courthouse. Oh, no. Not no damn Maryland. Not fighting in Maryland. And not going to no damn Philadelphia court. Sorry. They were not in these particular areas of the land. More so, these people were being the governors of Maryland. Now let's get it. Bring it up a little bit. That is a real Shinnecock Indian on the left. He's more in line who would have been in the court letting these fools know that just because your ass been here for 100 years, my ancestors been here for thousands of years, and from the soil, all the Shinnecock is going to, this makes more sense. That's a real Shinnecock Indian. I'm just giving you, because they're from the north and what it more so looks like. That is the difference. There's the very big difference between us and them when it comes to our distinct look. I look more like the guy on the Shinnecock Indian on the left. We both have tawny complexions. I'm not a Shinnecock Indian. And that looks more like a typical black European on the right. I'm keeping it a buck. Your mainland Negro Indian on the left and your Jamaican boy. I'm keeping it a buck, yeah, on the right. Black European. I'm sorry. Let's get this shit. This looked like more like it could be Chief Canassatego and the black Europeans that they told, yo, I don't give a fuck you. You got to let me be your elder brother. Because, let's get it, y'all. Dirty section of YouTube. Thank you. Hey, y'all. Y'all don't have to delete nobody. Let them talk, because you know why today I want to let them talk. It's okay, Othello baby, if you timed them out. I like when they talk because they jealous and they mad and it bothers them. So it really helps. It helps. Let them talk their shit in the chat because we killing it and we gonna kill it today. Based on the conversation, because none of us were born in 1744, okay? And none of us were born in 1751. But we're going by these communications that took place, these transcripts that took place in this court transcript. So let's get it. This looks more like who was arguing over some damn land. Now we're going to read it. Thomas reported that an unfortunate skirmish had taken place between colonist militia and war parties from the Six Nations in the disputed territory. Okay. So colonist militias and the Six Nations. All right. Now, you're talking about the Six Nations, the indigenous people of the damn land. They didn't say white people as colonists or blacks as colonists. They just said colonist militia. But Ben Franklin gave you who was here, yo. Thomas asserted that this problem ought to be solved because the Iroquois were strategic to the British defense against the French in North America. By their situation, if friends, the Iroquois are capable of defending colonial settlements. Like they'll look out for us, right? So if the Iroquois is, powerful enough, they felt that they could be protected. These colonial people, it's not because other white people would be bothering them. It's because them niggas, the Iroquois, will help us out and protect us so we can live in these colonial settlements. If enemies of making cruel ravages upon them, if neuters, they may deny the French a passage through their country. Okay? They may deny French a passage through their country and give us a timely notice of their designs. Now the representatives of Maryland were not as conciliatory as Thomas. Speaking to the Iroquois, they said, now, this is that black European speaking to Chief Canassatego during the Lancaster court session. This is what they said. The great king of England and that dude in that picture, that's how them people in England dress. Let's go back and look at how they dress. You look at that old flyaway shit. That's how they dress in Europe with that flyaway shit off like Beethoven and all that. This is them speaking. The great king of England. And I got to use their accent, y'all. The great king of England and his subjects have always possessed the province of Maryland, free and undisturbed from any claim by the Six Nations for above 100 years past. And you're not saying anything to us before convinces us you thought you had no pretense to any land in Maryland, nor can we yet find out to what lands or under what title you make your claim. So, Chief Canassatego, that nigga, that Shinnecock, or that Iroquois, waited a day until the next day, June 26th, to reply as was their custom. The day's delay was meant to signal grave concern over the issue at hand. In some cases, the delay was just a matter of being polite. In this case, however, it was sincere. On Tuesday afternoon, Canassatego rose before the assembly. They done came back, assuming the posture that had caused many colonists. Now, this is to compare him to their imagined Roman and Greek ancestors. So, if they're comparing him, now these black Europeans are comparing him to how the Romans and the Greeks look. And and Ben Franklin already told you how their ass look. He said, here's what Chief Canassatego, how he addressed them Jamaican boys. Brother, or those black Europeans, he said to them, brother, the governor of Maryland, when you mention the affair, now I'm talking like nigger Indians here in the north. He said, brother, the governor of Maryland, when you mentioned the affair of the land yesterday, you went back to old times and told us that you had been in possession of the province of Maryland for above 100 years. But what is 100 years in comparison to the length of time since our claim began? Since we came out of this ground, for we must tell you that long before 100 years, our ancestors came out of this very ground, and their children have remained here ever since. And he's checking them at the door. You came out of the ground in a country that lies beyond the seas. There you may have a just claim. But here you must allow us to be your elder brethren, and the lands too belong to us before you knew anything of them. So he checked them at the door. Boom. I could see the Shinnecock dude telling him. Now, the conversation, let me go back, was more likely him telling him. Boom. It's a wrap. And he continued his argument, our brother, the chief. Canassatego, he continued his argument saying that some Europeans assume an error. All right? He's letting you know, yo, y'all be assuming shit. Some bullshit. You got the wrong assumption, bro. That the Indians would have perished if they had not come into the country and furnished us with straws and hatchets and guns and other things necessary for the support of life. The Indians, the Sakam, reminded the colonists. He told them, look, live before they came amongst us, and as well or better, if we may believe that our forefathers have taught us. We had then room enough and plenty of deer, which was easily caught. Like, look, we ain't need y'all shit for real, because we were surviving before y'all ass came here. Basically, you got it twisted. You think we needed your shit, but we really don't. We've been surviving on this land for thousands and thousands of years, just like he said. We ain't have it then from y'all. And you did think because y'all came, you saved us. How else did we survive? Get your ass out of here, basically. So this is Connecticut in 1782. Okay. Indians and Negroes. All right. All right. So now this is a colonial state. Could it be? And you see at the end, they put the niggas and the Indians together. That's what the white people did in Connecticut. They put the Indians and the niggas together, Negroes together. All right. Now, those Indians are probably tawny like me, and the Negroes was probably the black Europeans. Can y'all give me a 1? Because there's so many ways you can look at that. We already know who the white people are. But when it comes to them Indians and Negroes, who is either tawny or wholly so, the Indians could have been us, and the Negroes could be the black European dude. Yo, give me a 1 if you see this shit based on what we read, who was over here and what was over here and what their complexions was. I need to know if you see it. The Indians could have been us, me, the dude. I see it more like, all right, let's get it. Let's go back. I see it more like the dude on the left, the Indian, and the Negro is on the motherfucking right. That's how I'm seeing it. When you are in my state, Connecticut, and you calculating up all the people in these different municipalities, in these colonial municipalities or areas, and you say the Indians and the Negroes, I'm seeing the Indian on the left, that's tawny, okay, in the Holy Soul place, and the Negro on the right, who is the black European. I told y'all I'm not gonna play with that. I'm just not gonna do that. I'm saying when you sit back and look at stuff like, wait a minute, because I I can't see it no other way. If you're putting, if you look at the tawny guy on the left and the swarthy, I just can't see it no other way at this point. Because we know what white people look like. We know. So we're looking at the tawny Indian on the left, chiefly tawny, America, holy so. And then you got the dark person that came on a goddamn boat with the white colonizers because they had black Europeans and white Europeans coming over to work in these colonies. And this looks more like the so the white person said they separated themselves from the dark swarthy, the white people, purely white people separated themselves from the black European. Yeah, we know you came on a boat with us, but you're darker than us, so you're going to be the Negro, the black, the negro, black European, and the Indian is the tawny. Bing, bang, boom. And they did mix with us. Now, if I had a baby, my tawny complexion, now you don't know who the goddamn Indian is. Y'all get it? I'm just saying. I'm saying what I'm seeing. If I met this handsome, dark, black European, and I had a baby with this dude, wait a minute, let me just take this down for a minute. And I had a baby with him with my light tawny. I'm tawny compared to the black European. And I had a baby with him. Now you don't know this baby is, I done had it with this black European like we've been doing. So now you don't know who the damn Indian is. Or the Aborigine. Which one is which? Because our baby's still going to come out brown. So that is a very difficult decision for Mr. Walter Plecker later on to say, but damn, you don't know who the Indian is. So they made him white. So, like, you got the Shinnecock. Me, say let's pretend I'm a Shinnecock and I have a baby with this black European. My baby gonna look like me and him. And it probably come out with my complexion or his. Which one's the Indian? Confused now. So, white people that are in power, they're all Negroes. How the hell you gonna do that? You literally. I'm just saying. So let's just keep going. All right, so we got through there. So now we know from reading the report of the 5 civilized tribes that was given to the United States government Department of Interior that they look these Negroes, okay, frequently met who didn't speak nothing but Indian languages and are Indians by tribal law and custom. So how did these Negroes and 5 civilized tribes, they're Indians by tribal law and custom. But the white people that are Indians are said to be by a remote degree of blood or by adoption, which for the most part, most of them were adopted, the majority of them. Under the laws of the 5 civilized or nations of the Indian Territory, a person white in color and features is frequently an Indian, but they ask that don't speak no Indian languages, right? Being so, by a remote degree of blood or by adoption. Whose blood did they get to be an Indian? If they were by blood, whose blood did they get to be an Indian? These are people who were moved to Oklahoma. Who did they get the blood from? Who did the white people get the blood from to be an Indian? Because remember, nothing wasn't over here but tawny and swarthy people. So who did you get the blood from? I'm gonna take this down for a minute. Who they get the blood from to be the Indian? If nothing was over here but chiefly tawny and swarthy people, and they became Indians. White people became Indians by adoption or a remote degree of blood. Remote degree means far out. And we're going to see some funny shit how they claim to be Indians, white people, in a minute. Let's get it. Who they get the blood from? That's all I want to know. Whose remote degree of blood? Now, here in my state, in Connecticut, back in 1787, here's a black dude in a colonial area. Now, is he an Indian or is he a black European? That's the question. The black governor originated in Massachusetts and then appeared in Connecticut and Rhode Island. In Connecticut, the practice started in 1750s. Now we in 1750, the same time Benjamin Franklin wrote his transcript. Give me some damn fire. We in 1750. Benjamin Franklin wrote his thing in 1751. Explaining who was here, these 20 people. Now, we know that when they came here from Europe, the worst of the worst, they came here. So now, let's just keep reading. In Connecticut, the practice started in 1750s when Captain Thomas Seymour Slave was elected Connecticut's first black governor in 1755. Now, they only had a couple of specific areas in Connecticut, meaning when Thomas Hooker and them came from Massachusetts, it was only like 100 of them. And they gave them some area in Hartford and in West Hartford. That's it. Everything else was black and tawny, holy soul, according to Ben Franklin in 1751. And they're telling you that they started practicing this shit in Connecticut in 1750s. That building you see is still in my state. The election was followed by a large parade. A black governor could be called on. Now, wait a minute. This black governor could be called on. Now, this was he's supposed to be somebody's slave. This black governor could be called on to perform important functions within his community. So this black guy got a community and he could be called on to perform important functions. In many towns, the governor meted out punishments and upheld law and order among the African inhabitants. Now, they wrote this shit up to date in my historical place. He also, now look at this, what this slave could do. Look at what the shit this slave could do. He also acted as a mediator between the black and white communities. What? So a slave jumps up to be a governor and he act as a mediator. Like he's in the middle. Y'all know what a mediator is. Between black and white communities in their colonial government. Black governors often appointed a lieutenant governor and deputies to help carry out these tasks. Colonial John Chester Slave London was elected black governor in Connecticut in 1760. Now, check this out. His wife, Betty, was thought to be an Indian. She died in 1787. Now, yo, so now, question, was that black slave? Because we said that they brought, now, wait a minute now. Hold up. Let's get it. We said that when they came here, they came with white Europeans and black Europeans. He married an Indian named Betty, supposedly. Now, my question is, was this black governor a black European? Because he worked as a slave in the colony. Whites know their own slaves, colonists. Was he a black European that became a governor? Or was he an Indian because he married Betty, who was thought to be an Indian? So perhaps was this dude a black governor, a black European? Was he an Indian? What y'all think? This black governor, was he? Because white Europeans know they're black Europeans. They know them. They have the same damn accents, first of all. Or was he an Indian? I would say I geared towards the fact that he was more than likely an Indian. Because he needed that Indian to mediate between the black and white communities. Because the white people wasn't doing that shit. They were like, oh, hell no. We need somebody that looked like them to mediate between us and them. I'm going to say it was an Indian. Because if you're coming from Europe and you're white, you're going to need some kind of guidance from Indians that are already here to cultivate the land, to be a slave laborer, to work, so they could show you how you get down over here. An Indian knows its land and it knows its area and it knows what could grow. So I'm saying, I'm going to say he was an Indian. I don't believe he was an African. There's no way. Remember, this was written in my state, and they're always updating, changing shit. But that man was a goddamn Indian. Because where are the Indians? They just spoke about one Indian, his wife Betty. So they needed whatever here or there. They needed his black ass to mediate between the white community and the black community. And I'm going to say they needed his ass to mediate between them and them damn wild ass Indians in Connecticut. And they still crazy and wild, the women and the men. I'm here and I'm crazy. So yeah, you're going to need somebody, white people that ain't from here, that's coming from Europe, and they down here with all these black folks. You need somebody that look like me to mediate between the land and when they be fighting over land. So I'm just saying, but let's keep going. Could he be black European? Because they never wanted our Aboriginal people to become governors and senators in their colonial states. And even though the states came together later on in years, we were actively part of them because we had Black Wall Street and everything going on in the South, in our lands, restaurant and everything. But once they demolished all our residents all across these 50 states, okay, then they kept us out of their being governors and senators for a long, long, long time, even now. In fact, most of the people that look like me that are senators and representatives and judges, a lot of them are black Europeans, descendants of black Europeans. You learn that when you look at their backgrounds, because their granddaddies and grandmas have British accents. So let's just keep going, y'all. Okay. These are the supposed governors of Connecticut. Now, do they look like black Europeans or do they look like Aborigines, like Shinnecox and shit like that? I think they look, well, what y'all think? Do they look like Indians or do they look like black Europeans? These portraits that were drawn to them were snapped. These are in colonial times. Are they black Europeans? Come on, y'all. Copper Engine said hard to tell. Are they black Europeans or are they Indians? Marching down Main Street in the city of Hartford, and it's still the same. Still the same black Indians in the hoods. Ain't shit changed. It's even worse. It ain't nothing but Indians. Hey, straight smoke. So I'm gonna keep going. I guarantee you, these were not the Indians that was fighting over land in the north. Nope, not in no damn Hartford. They did not look like that. Sorry. Nope. Sorry, doo doo. Not in Hartford. Not in New York. Nope. 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 Now, um, I think I wanted to check here with the mulattoes and quadroons. Wait, I should have showed that one. And it gave you a definition of what the quadroon is: a person who is 1/4 black by descent. All right, that's a quadroon. Now, if you go back, I asked the question: why is none of this blood referring to Asians? It's saying black people, and if it ain't you ain't black, you white. Here in Connect, here on the mainland, you were mulatto if you were of a white woman by a Negro, by a black Indian. And then when you look at the definition, yo, hold up. Let's get it, y'all. Because it was majority. Let me get it should be up here. Damn. Ah, I'm gonna have to look it up. I hate when I don't have it. Okay. Let's do it. Oh, let's just do a reality check. Now, y'all know in 1750s, here we go. Gotta pull this up. 1828. Now, we just finished having these black governors, and we had the black Europeans and we had the white Europeans. Now, American, a noun, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals. It was originally us, the Tawny people, or copper color races. It can also be identified as a copper color race found here by the Europeans. So when you're talking Europeans, you're talking black Europeans and white Europeans. So now they came over here and made babies with us, but now apply to the descendants of Europeans, descendants of black Europeans. born in America because them half-blood babies with me and that black European dude. So if you're black European and you made a baby with me, now our baby is now that baby's an Indian and have land claims. Is that clear? Because see, when we read this, we always, the first thought that come in our mind is they're just talking about white Europeans. No, there was black Europeans and white Europeans that came here to work on these damn colonial plantations. White Europeans and black ones. So when we had babies by both of them, the black one and the white one, that baby now has land claim. Is that clear? So I'm going to stop that. All right. When you look at this and it's saying the quadroons, the quadroons, they only mention when black and white blood is mixed, whether it's mulatto or quadroon. So why did it say when the Indians mix? Why they not saying when the Indian is a quadroon? Are you a quadroon? 1/4 if you have a 1/4 Indian blood. Same thing. Whether it's a black or Indian. You can't make this shit up. We already got through that. Look at this chart. And this is some funny shit. This chart to compute the degree of Indian blood. So white Europeans have came up with how much Indian blood they got. They came up with a whole fucking chart. And it's not based on DNA at all. It's based on how many Indians is above you that runs on your tree that runs back in time. So you are one. So when you see 116, this is the crazy shit. The higher number is the purely person, the purely white person with one Indian on the tree. And then when you look in the next column, out of 32 Indians, you're 1/8 Indian blood. Out of 32 white people, you got 3 Indians. That makes you 1/8 Indian blood. Then they got one. If you're 1/8, you're 1/8 Indian. You're 3/16 Indian blood. If it's 8 white people on the goddamn tree and 1 Indian. No. Yeah, no. It's not that. That's not it. If you're 1/16, right? This means you have 16 people on the tree. The higher number is how many people you got on the tree. And you found 1 Indian. The first number is the number of Indians you find on the tree. Then you got the slash. And then you got 16 of the white people. So 16 white people on the tree. Yep. There's one Indian on the tree out of 16 white people. So that makes you 1/16th blood. Direct lineage. That's crazy as hell. Look at the 1/4. You have 32 white people on the tree, but you found 5 Indians. So now you're a quarter. I'm done. Now, it tells you here right at the top, parents. Okay, and on the right, the light gray section fall below 1/4. So you see where it's grayed out like an arrow, like you're lower than 1/4. You're lower than, like, if you take 1/4, that's a quarter. You're lower than that percentage. All where you see the gray. The higher the first number gets, the more Indian blood you are. Like if you look over in the column where it's headed off at 1/2, out of 32 white people, they found 9 Indians. That's 9 niggas. I know, 1/64th is crazy, right? 1/64. You got 64 white people and they found one nigga on the tree. This is insane what this government has done. So now this person went and updated the original American Colonization Society. Remember, I showed you where it says, I think I even have that in here. Hang on. The original one. Let me put the original one in. Wait a minute. It's wild what they did to this. Let me see if I got it up here. That's Ben. No, I guess I took it out. The original American Colonization Society, y'all remember when I read that to y'all? And it said, will they change their identity? It was identity. They changed it. They updated it in this college. What college is this? The college. Where is the damn college? I got the link at the bottom anyway. But y'all remember I read that one that said when we come into America, the Indians, when we come in to their little corporation, are we willing to change, fight for civil rights and change our identity? Okay. Right. So this is the update of it. 2020. This is how you know they've been watching us. They are watching us. Morgan Robinson, he's a history intern, and it was published in 2020. He says, even though he is known as a champion for emancipation and freedom for Black people, President Abraham Lincoln also endorsed colonization earlier in his life and even during his presidency. He believed that Black and white people could not coexist after emancipation and supported sending freed Black people to Liberia or Central America. Okay. On August 14th, 1862, President Lincoln invited a group of prominent Black leaders to the White House to discuss colonization. Okay. So when you're talking, this is why I said Black Europeans, not Indians. So when you're discussing colonizations, you're going to send these black Europeans over to colonize. So listen, he argued that black and white people were not capable of living together in the United States and that it was unfair to both groups to have to suffer in the other's presence. During the Civil War, Lincoln engaged in more dialogue with black leaders, and his views on emancipation and colonization evolved to those he expressed later in his presidency. And then it goes on to saying, in spite of strong support for the American Colonization Society and its mission, the organization and its efforts failed because of opposition from the free black community and its leaders. Much of the free black community, particularly those in northern states, felt they were American citizens by birth and had no interest in leaving their homeland to live in a place they did not know or feel connected to in any meaningful way. Yo, now, y'all hear me reading this? My question to you, when Benjamin Franklin was talking to these freed black people and he was discussing colonization and them going to Liberia, okay, because blacks and white couldn't exist, was he talking to black Europeans or was he talking to Indians? Now, why would the Indians, I mean, this is the Indians' homeland. But now, are these black Europeans that Ben's talking to, or mulattoes who are claiming their homeland here? They have no interest in leaving their homeland. So if they're mixed people, is he talking to the Indians or is he talking to the black Europeans? As a result, listen to me, y'all, few free black people willingly traveled to the colony of Liberia. And over time, the number of immigrants decreased from 11,420 in 1830 to 7,836 by 1852. Hey, big sister. Hey. So, y'all, let me take this down. Who is he talking to? And now it says few of them went. And they was like, no, they staying in their own homeland. Because they don't know nothing about no Africa and they ain't going. Now, if we're talking in a colonial areas, and the president is saying black and white people can't coexist. So during that time, is he talking to black Europeans to go over to Liberia and colonize? Or is he talking to mulattoes who would be half Indian and half European? Or is he talking to Indians? He damn sure he's talking to Indians. The Indians like, man, the fuck? In that time, in that years, ain't no Indians leaving their land to go to North Africa. So who is he talking to? The mixed breed. See, you're able to get a mixed breed to go, a black European to go, and a mixed breed. Because they have a choice. Okay, they have land claims in both areas if they're a mulatto baby, either here or over there. And some are born here. It's like, I ain't going to no damn Africa. Saying that you was born, let's say you was born in you was a black European and me Indian. I have a baby with you. Now our baby is half Indian and half black European. That baby is gonna be, but I ain't going to no damn Africa. I'm staying right here in my homeland. So When Ben said he had a meeting with black leaders, were they black Europeans? Let's get back to it. Now, that was an American colonization site was in 1818. So now they got a lot of these black Europeans, okay? Because I don't believe that. I don't know. Based on what I'm looking at, when you're saying to go to Liberia, listen, hold up, let me take this down. You talking they're talking about the American Colonization Society, Abraham Lincoln, and when they came over here, like I said, black Europeans and white Europeans came over together, and they couldn't get along in their colonies. They couldn't get along. So my thought is that they sent black Europeans over to colonize over in Liberia, not Indians, black Europeans, because that's what they do. The Indians didn't colonize. It was the colonizers who colonized. So it makes more sense to say, all right, we sent y'all here from Europe, both of y'all blacks and whites, over here to colonize in our colonial towns in America. Y'all black and whites ain't getting along. Black Europeans with these British accents ain't getting along with the white Europeans. So, and they keep fighting. So let's send them to their own land that they could colonize for us, which Liberia became a British colony, correct? So you're going to send black Brits over there, right? Hey, because they had no control over the Indians. No. I would say it would lean more towards black Europeans they sent over there to do what they do best, colonize. So I don't know. Yeah, we could brainstorm on this because it makes more sense. Yeah, it would be the black Europeans because they're the ones fighting with the white Europeans and they're not coexisting. They're not getting along. But in earlier times, like in 1750s, they needed that black person to mediate between the black and white communities. The Indians related better with the black European than they did the white European back in those days. So we weren't born in those days, but y'all see where I'm at and what I'm on to. So I'm trying to figure, this is why I said we got a lot of studying. But then here comes the Indian Removal Act. Again, those wishing to remain in the East would become citizens of their home state. So who's remaining? We're talking to the Indians now. So if I'm staying in my state, you got me and you got black Europeans. But because of the narrow-mindedness of the United States, they're going to just put us all as blacks. Who's who? Now do you see where I'm coming from? See, Andrew Jackson was, let me see. Abe Lincoln was talking to the black people of going over to Liberia or Central America to colonize. And here, Andrew Jackson was talking with the Indians, put out an order. So this is why they keep the Indians and the niggas together. Let's keep going. Now, same shit, same thing, different time. Now, earlier we read about Chief Canassatego. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't know somebody came on the panel. Eric, I need you to turn your camera on because I don't want to get porn bombed. Oh, okay. All right, I'll let you up. You could turn it off. Hi, Eric. How you doing? Can you hear me?
I'm trying to get it into my headset. Hold on a second.
For a minute. Okay. So I said we was going to go from the old days from 1751 when Chief Canassatego was arguing with, let me go back so I can put the picture in your head. Let me go all the way back. Remember the argument with Chief Canassatego on the left? We just putting that there, the tawny guy, and the black European on the right over the land in Maryland, right? Y'all with me? Give me a one. This was back in 1751. And Chief Colonial told him, you ain't got no damn land claims. You got land claims, but they beyond the seas. And what's beyond the seas? Jamaica, everything. Okay, cool. So now we're gonna go all the way current. Eric, you wanted to say something before, or you're gonna wait until I finish?
I'll wait till you finish. Am I? Can you?
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
not
I
making
need you.
noise on there.
Yeah, I just need you to mute so I could,
Okay.
and
All
then
right.
I'll tell you to unmute. So now we
Okay.
went back and we saw the black European and the Indian fighting over the land, and the Indian putting them at checking them at the door. So now we're up to this date. Back in Maryland, we got a governor. His name is Wesley Watande Omari Moore. Okay, is a politician, businessman, author, and veteran serving as the 63rd governor of Maryland since 2023. Moore, now let's read this guy's background. Moore was born in Maryland and raised primarily in New York. He graduated from Johns Hopkins University and received a master's degree in Wolfson College, Oxford, as a Rhodes Scholar. After several years in the U.S. Army and Army Reserve, he became an investment banker in New York. Between 2010 and 2015, Moore published 5 books, including a young adult novel. He served as a CEO of the Robin Hood Foundation in 2017 to 2021. Moore authored the other Westmore and the work. He also hosted Beyond Belief on Oprah Winfrey Network and was executive producer and a writer for Coming Back with Wes Moore on PBS. Moore is a member of the Democratic Party. He won the 2022 Maryland gubernatorial election, becoming Maryland's first African American governor and the third African American person elected governor of any U.S. state. Moore was now here's his genealogy. He was born in Tacoma Park, Maryland in 1978. He's a Gen X. To William Wesley Moore Jr., a broadcast news journalist, and Joy Thomas Moore, a daughter of immigrants from Cuba and Jamaica, and a news media professional. So now he's from Cuba and Jamaica. His mother, I don't know what his father is. His father could be an Indian or he could be a black European. I don't know. On April 16th, 1982, when Moore was 3 years old, his father died of acute epigastritis. In the summer of 84, Moore's mother took him and his 2 sisters to live in the Bronx, New York, with her parents. His occasional babysitter was Kamala Harris's stepmother, Carol Curlew. His maternal grandfather was James Thomas, a Jamaican immigrant, was the first black minister in the history of the Dutch Reformed Church. I say this dude is a descendant of black Europeans. Why is granddaddy gonna have a Dutch Reformed Church? That's European shit. They done came their ass beyond the land. They done came back from beyond the land. Now, if we're back in Benjamin Franklin's, if we are back, I think this is the last slide. Yeah. Okay. So let me take this down. If we were back in the time when Lincoln said blacks and whites can't coexist. Let's send them over to Liberia and Central America to colonize. That would be the dude to go, not the Indian. I'm not playing. I'm not playing with nobody. Hey. Good God. So, brother Eric, what's good? Your mic is muted if you're talking, Eric. And the panel is open. Eric, Eric, unmute your mic. Brother Eric. Your mic is muted, Eric.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Can you hear?
You going in and out, Eric. Hey, it's Niz. You can hit the y'all can hit the link now. It's open. The panel is open. Eric, go ahead, because you going in and out, so you must be driving in a bad area. Damn, we got 1,200 people watching. We're gonna see what they're gonna do on the news. Hey, I'll wait until Eric get it right. And anybody can hit the panel. It's Niz, Bucky. Y'all can hit the link. It's open. But I thought those slides, I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, when we're viewing this now for what it is, like, wait a minute, something ain't right. This explains why there are so many Black Europeans or descended bloodline Black Europeans that are in these top positions that colonize, how they grow into them. You know, it's always, and it always have been that Indian that is shut down. Because, yeah. Hi, Eric. You muted your mic again, Eric. You got to
Okay,
tap.
what about now?
Now that's better. As long as you don't touch nothing, you all right.
Great. Oh, great. Look, you come. Look, I probably need to come right back to you in like 10 minutes. I'm
Oh,
holding this. I'm holding this big truck right now. I need 10 minutes before I can get back to you and talk clear.
okay. All right. You can just mute your mic until
Can I
you're
ask one?
ready.
I'm gonna ask one question because I can hear you until I get back to you. And I
Okay.
love that analogy. Analogy that you have. Long time listener, first time caller. Um,
Uh,
but I love the analogy of that, and it makes sense. Question I have for you: When can you still hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm listening.
All right. So when we hear about um, the different things happen for people, we know that Indians were slaves. We know maybe African was slave. We know probably white folks were slave too. So once we hear the certain things that sound like it's saying that black people, and now what you've enlightened us with, that this father talking about the black Europeans, are they talking about the territories, or are these the colonies? When we're absorbing this, we absorb it like we're in 50 states, but at this time, it's not like that, is it?
It's not like that, period, in those times. So when we're in those years, like the 1600s, the 1700s, um, we're talking colonial, before the United States was created. The United States didn't come about until what, 1787.
So even if they
So,
were talking to certain, like in their history, they record it, and they say, "Oh yeah, well we was telling niggas to go here." That don't mean they was talking to everybody because they didn't have any power over the people in the territories, right?
well, in 1830, they had, by that time, they had built their coalition and um, connected with the Iroquois. in the north, all the Indians in the north really established a great relationship with the Union. And so they had their military force because by 1830 you had the majority of at least half of the 50 states that joined the Union. And yeah, see, in 1755 was just the 13 colonies when Benjamin Franklin was talking.
That
But
makes sense.
so that is just their little colonial areas, like the colonial, the 13 colonies. And in the South, they only had what, two areas? What, South Carolina, they only had Charleston. They had like literally a municipality, which is Charleston. They didn't have all the other parts of South Carolina, like Columbia, all the other municipalities. They just had Charleston. And that was considered the state of South Carolina at that time. It was just Charleston that was the state of South Carolina in the colonial time. Same thing with Virginia. They only had, what area was that? Oh, I almost said it out my mouth. But it was a municipality that was considered the state of Virginia in the colonial time. Now, when a state literally became a full state, when they did the union, when they redid it to allow all the states to be a part of the United States, and they officially became states, 50 states, you're talking like 1787, when the majority of the states joined the Union and became United States, big United States, full parts of the land. But in colonial times, that's the thing. I believe that they were talking that they were talking to the black Europeans about going to um Liberia and Central America to colonize. Because in that time, you're not making the Indians get off their land to go to Liberia. No, it was the black Europeans and the white Europeans that could not coexist. So you got the black Europeans, the white Europeans, and the Indians. In those times, 1700s, Ben Franklin told you who was here, 1751. Indians, holy so, it was us. So that's why I showed that sheet in my state where they had put the Indians and the Negroes together, and they separated themselves. The white people separated themselves from the Indians and the Negroes. And in my case, I'm saying that the white people separated themselves from the black Europeans and the Indians, being on the Negroes being the black Europeans, because Negro in Spanish means black. So, what are your thoughts on that, Eric?
I'm a student. I have to accept it and try to do research, but I'm with you.
Yeah, because um there were Indians here, and see, everybody wants to give you this Hollywood Indian. That wasn't who was here. These Hollywood Indians now, you will see Indians looking like them in California in some areas, and New Mexico in some areas back in that time, because you're literally on Mexican land when you're talking California. That was really Mexico, part of Mexico. Am I right? So you will see the Tonto kind of like Asian like looking Indians. But not here in the north. There wasn't no Tontos in no north and southern states. Not in those 17 and 1800s. No, there is no way humanly possible. Let's get it. Let's even look. Let's go there. Let's go to the Tonto man. The guy on the left is not an Indian from South Carolina. You know, there's no way those kind of Indians are going to be slave masters over me, you, and my grandparents. No, we're the Indians. There's no way. They were not walking around in South Carolina in that attire. No way in hell. Not even here in the North. Now you see what you see here in the North, where I am, is more mulattoes. There's a lot of mulattoes here in the North. But in the South, mm-mm. That's a Tonto Indian right there that they show you in the movies. That is not an Indian that was arguing over land with black Europeans. No, 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 no. In Maryland. Nope. Mm-mm. That Indian was not even Maryland, what you see right there. That's the Tonto movies that they be showing you. We the Indians, we were the ones that was here. Ben Franklin wrote who was here, and he was asking England to send more white people because America is wholly so when it comes to tawny and swarthy. I'm tawny complexion. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? I know you said you got to go for 10 minutes, but if that's the case,
Is it just me?
okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Um, I'm just now trying to do my genealogy and turning my children onto it as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess since you're all in the, to some degree, you're all in the same bloodline, but you're at the same time your children have a mother that's not you, so they can go somewhere else. Correct?
Correct. You we had a lot of babies with these black Europeans. We did. That's why in that American Indian dictionary it says the Aborigines of America, for who an American is, it was originally applied to the Aborigines or the copper color races, but now to the descendants of Europeans because we as Indian women, we still we had babies in relationships with these black Europeans, and that's a fact. Because if you look at our hoods today, a lot of sisters in the hood got babies by Jamaican dudes, married Jamaican dudes, okay, and um, all black Europeans have British accents. That's how you know who a black. They have British accents, and we had babies with black Europeans. Whining and everything. We was whining and everything with black Europeans. Your thoughts?
Can you hear me, Sister Beth?
Yep. Now I can.
Oh, okay. Did you hear what I said?
No, I didn't.
I said so. Then ultimately, we weren't just about just our culture like that, or we would not been doing as much mixing. Because I have talked to some elders said that you, sometimes mixing would make you lose birthrights to the land.
Well, that depends. Um, that depends because if in United States law, okay, because you got United States and then you have your tribal laws. But we're talking United States if we're citizens. And we have, and say I'm Indian because Indians are citizens now considered citizens too. We are the Indians that remain. If we have a baby with a European, whether he's black or white or any other race or African, that baby does have land claims because it's a half Indian and or half Aboriginal and half something else. If an Aboriginal to this land has a baby with any race, it doesn't matter whether they're Chinese, Mexican, that baby has land claims because he is indigenous to this land and he will be have no issue getting citizenship in the country of his parent origination. So they use a lot of them have land claims here that are citizens. They also later get dual citizenship with their other parents. Say if their dad lived in Europe and their mom is from United States and she happens to be an Indian. Well, The baby is half European and half Indian, American Indian. And the baby might grow up and go and can get dual citizenship from Europe because her dad is from Europe. For dad, if the man dies and he has land in Europe, that baby can go and claim his dad's land in Europe, and same vice versa. Your thoughts, Eric? Anybody can hit the link.
Uh, yeah, I guess I just got to absorb that a little more, and maybe because maybe I'm looking at a Johnny Come Lately, uh, more more non-melanated control system after
Well, yeah, what the
the
United States is, duh, yeah. This is their company that they put on Indian land. Remember, we're a conquered people. Our
yeah,
land
that
was
would make
conquered.
sense there.
We're a conquered people. And we literally are not in power at all. Hey, Straight Smoke.
How you doing, Sister Bethy?
Hey, I'm good. What's going on?
Nothing much, just enjoying every ounce of this.
It's funny.
Just enjoying. It's you gotta laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
We,
seen my last thing I had said in the chat, but in
oh,
essence, wouldn't you consider this being the first birthright citizenship?
yeah. Yeah. Because we as a people prior to, and I'll pull that back up. I'll pull that back up so you could see. Let's go to the Indian Removal Act. Now, we as a people, we've been here prior to 1830. We were here in the 1700s, 1600s. We were already here when they came. So now we're in 1830. We as a people, as a people, we were living on our lands in 1830, and we were in different areas of where these United States sit. And then they had the Indian Removal Act. They wanted to this is how they conquered us. We are the people who did not go through a naturalization act. We didn't go through that. There was no such act in 1830.
Exactly. That's my whole point right there. So
And
there
it
was
tells
no
you what
naturalization
happened.
act.
Yeah, it tells you how we became part of the United States. Listen, 1830, just a year after taking office, Andrew Jackson pushed a new piece of legislation called the Indian Removal Act through both houses of Congress. It gave the president power to negotiate removal treaties with Indian tribes living east of the Mississippi. Under these treaties, the Indians were to give up their lands east of the Mississippi in exchange for lands to the west. Now, those wishing to remain, now he's talking to the Indians. Those Indians wishing to remain in the east would become citizens of their home states, meaning regardless if you stay or go, your ass going to become a citizen. And that's how they was able to put like real estate law on everything. We were made citizens whether we wanted to be or not. We didn't go through a naturalization act.
Correct.
And we didn't go to Oklahoma. They just said, all right, you don't want to go to Oklahoma? Guess what? Wherever your house is or your land is, you're going to be a citizen of the United States.
And can I take it a step further from that, Sister Beth?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's when they issued property tax and tax liens at the same time. That's how a lot of people lost their land because they had assessed the value of the land and said, oh, well, you didn't pay the taxes. You knew that you was a citizen now. Under these laws, what we got, you have to pay a tax.
And we didn't have a fiat system. We didn't
Nope.
have no money. We traded vegetables, cattle, animals. We didn't have go in the store with no debit cards and money. We traded food.
And that was the
And
whole point of circuming the trade route. That's what was the removal. The actual Indian removal was the removal of the trade route. Now it is ours to trade with. You have
there you go.
nothing.
Correct.
Because I don't think a lot of people are looking at, like, look at the waterways as far as fish. You know, this is a natural ecosystem over here. And that's what they saw, and that's what they came to. Once they saw that and they learned the land, that's all they needed. That's all they needed.
Mm-hmm. Facts. And that argument that Chief Canassatego told the black European or the white European, I believe it was black, because he said, consider me as your older brother. And the folks of Maryland looked at Chief Canassatego because he was dressed in his attire, and they said he reminded them of the Romans. And as you can see, Ben Franklin was like, they all black, the Romans, everything. So, I mean, he and Chief Canassatego told him, look, you got land claims. You don't talk about you've been here 100 years, and my ancestors and their children are from this soil, and we've been here for thousands of years, and we're still here on this land. You have land claims, but your land claims are beyond the seas. And what's beyond the seas? I really believe he's talking about areas, the areas like where Jamaica is. It wasn't called Jamaica.
Right on.
Cuba, beyond the seas.
Not here.
And these the same people coming in and out. I don't even think it was not like that with Africans being here. These are people that they're bringing in from beyond the seas. And my thought is, if you're bringing in slaves, you're bringing them in from Cuba, you're bringing them in from Jamaica, and you're calling them Africans.
Let us not forget, Sister Bethy, they had a very accurate system of counting these people.
Correct.
So let's not gloss over that. They knew exactly where they got their people from to come here. They knew that already.
Europeans from Europe have been going in and out of the area known as Jamaica and their island, British islands for years. So I don't think they, was digging in Africa like that, but they wanted to colonize over in Africa. So their attempt, they sent them over there to Liberia, the black Europeans over there.
Now, on that same token right there, I do want to, a part of me wants to say that the servitude class of those black Europeans would have been admixtures. Easier to control, easier to instruct, because they were more willing to learn, because they were half and half, if you will, or 1/32nd, 1/64th. I believe that was the servitude class going back across.
Yep.
I mean, does that make sense? Because who else? You're not going to get anybody of a naturalness to be able to go somewhere else. It's just not going to happen.
Correct. And I there is no way. I just will never believe that Indians went over to Liberia to colonize. I believe it was black Europeans that went over there. because they could not coexist in these colonial. Um, they could not coexist with white people. The black Europeans and the white Europeans was not getting along,
Right. There was a
and the whites
consequential
and they
power
never
struggle.
liked the nigga Indians anyway. So let's just throw that out there, and they still don't today.
I mean,
That would be
just
us.
taking what you're saying, that sounds like to me that that was a power struggle between both of the colored in excuse me, both of the European statures, black and white. That was a
Yeah,
power struggle. And so
yeah,
to rectify the power struggle, okay, well, you feel like this, well, you go over here. We gonna continue to do what we're doing here. You go over there and do what you gotta do. But as far as right
right.
here, we have this. You can go over there.
Facts. And don't forget, when they went over to the Liberia, there were already Africans, real African tribes over there. So they conquered those tribes like they did over here. And what did they do? They mixed with them. And some of them are, I don't know, black
Exactly.
Europeans to me is Africans too.
Well, I
So,
keep looking at it from one construct. I keep looking at it from one construct, and it's that I believe that majority of these so-called black Europeans came from Africa, went and got schooling in Europe, if you will, because Cambridge is the highest school in Africa at this present time. So let's
mhm,
just layer this all the way out, because through religion and education is how you have the constructs of who is a hierarchy from, let's say, the above ranks to the middle to the lower. So that's how it was all structured out as far as class warfare,
mhm.
if that makes sense.
It makes sense. But today, I really wanted to take people through because it's an issue here. And this is why we're having these constant problems with these Pan Africans. Because a lot of them have black European ancestry. So they would be correct saying that they're African American. And we clash with them because we're not. We don't have African ancestry. And see, when when we're lecturing in YouTube and we're talking about Europeans, everybody always think, oh, white. No, Europeans are black too. When they left Europe, for persecution of religion, it wasn't just a group of white people, it was black people too. And then when they got here and got established in their little colonies, they began sending more black. What is if you're a black European and you're brought here to America to run from the persecution in Europe, and you land down in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. What are you gonna do? You're gonna send for your family. Black Europeans are gonna send for their family, and white Europeans are gonna send for theirs. Correct?
Absolutely.
So it ain't. It's still the same. You got people from British Islands that are coming up on the mainland like they've been doing, and they're sending for their people. They send back and forth food. They'll come over here, get a job, send food in those big long ass barrels. I see them do it all the time to Jamaica. And when you're in these British islands, you have British accents. The American mainland Indians do not have British accents. I don't have a British accent. You don't have a British accent. So you really know who that European is.
They have been hiding amongst us for a very long time.
Very long time.
Yep. And
And
just
in
to
doing my genealogy, nobody came from any British islands. Not they ain't come from Jamaica, they ain't come from Cuba, none of these British islands. Everybody is from here on the mainland.
and the most exceptional part that I've really been like honing in on is that I'm trying to figure out how was the authority given. You
Well,
know,
it would have been. You mean as far as going to colonize?
no, not as far as going to colonize, because from my understanding, my general understanding, I can be wrong. I can be wrong, but they emptied Britain's jails and among other areas to come here and say that if you want to go that route as far as not following the crown, we need you to do this.
That would be the
Now,
British
it
government.
right, right. But what I'm saying in that is that within the confines of that agreement with those people that were actually locked up, or however you want to call it, to set a voyage, and they now see, the one thing that I'm trying to find is the person and the ship log and records of who. Right, that's the problem. That's the problem. And I find it very hard to believe that all of a sudden that Britain does not have the records of that ship log.
Well,
I mean, they had the ship log of everybody else, as far as where they was
mhm.
going and who they was taking. Why is this ship log not being
And new
registered?
ones that they make up called reconstruction records. Yeah, okay.
Right on, right on.
Facts, Jerry. So it is what it is. But I know who I am, and I'm very grateful that none of my genealogy leads to any British islands or Africa. Now, I don't hate Africans. I don't hate people from the islands. Absolutely not. That wouldn't be true. Um, I'm just very happy to know this is my land. No history or records from anybody in my family coming from Africa or any of the British islands.
Mine either. All Midwest. Every stitch of it is all Midwest.
Yeah. Because remember,
Now I will.
prior to 1830, which is the Indian Removal Act, straight smoke, we was on our own doing our own thing, and they were doing theirs. We weren't in their colonial land, so you're not going to find our. Man, it's a hot mess. You got it. Hey,
I mean,
Ebony.
I gotta give it to you. I love when you do stuff like this. And if you could, Sister Bethany, because that chart you showed showing the blood quantum or the
Mm-hmm.
blood percentages, that is
Mm-hmm.
something that needs to be really reviewed and looked over.
Oh, it's a hot mess.
Yes, yes, it is. That is
This is
something
this
that
is
I think
him.
a
This
lot of
man.
people need to see.
He is the governor in Maryland. Governor in Maryland. Hmm. There it is.
There
Your
it
favorite
is.
chart right there.
Yep,
A hot
that's
mess.
it. That is beyond. I don't even know what you could call that. I don't know. I just I don't know even know what to say about that. And you asked everybody in the chat. So where they getting this blood from?
And it's not blood. It's not blood quantum. It's based on how many people are on the family tree. This is not blood. They Whoever's on the tree is the blood. So if you look at 4/4, that's a full blood Indian. If you go all the way to the end of the chart at the top, see where it says 4/4.
Yeah, I understand.
Right. I just want the audience to understand how they
Yes, ma'am.
determine the full blood. And if that one column would deem you full blood, that column. If you have the first number is how many Indians out of how many people are on the tree. So in that first column is 17 Indians out of 32 people on the tree. 17 of them are Indians. The first number is the Indian. The second number after the slash is how many people are on the tree. So if you got a tree of 16 people and 9 of them are Indians, you're Indian. And this is direct lineage, like coming down from mom to dad, not auntie to uncle, but straight through all the way back. 20, if you got, there's 20 out of 32 people on the tree, 21 of them are Indians. The higher the first number, the more you are full born, full blood. Now, the funny part is them not letting this dark skinned people have blood quantum. They called them freed men, but they really freed Indians. They wouldn't allow them to have blood quantum on the tree. They just put them up there and listed them as freed men. Because if they did blood quantum and they were to be on this chart, it would be 17 Indians out of 17 Indians, complete full bloods. So that's why the darker one was not allowed to be on the 5 civilized tribes. They're on the Dawes Rolls, but their blood quantum, they would not allow their blood quantum not to be counted. Now, make that make sense. What does that tell you?
It was
Hey,
the
curious.
hey, what's happening? What's happening?
Hey,
Peace,
curious.
peace to the tribe, peace to the chat. That means that it was whitewashed already. Shit.
Fact,
While you bull crapping.
fact.
But I wanted to add something in there right quick. But straight smoke was talking about with the uh, Europeans coming, black Europeans coming. They just didn't empty their jails, my brother. They brought all their poor, all their deferment. I mean, handicapped. They brought everybody here to America and said, "Okay, you're going to work." It just wasn't the jail. A good book to read about that is called "The History of White Slavery."
Yep.
That's a good book to read. It'll give you all that information in there about how they was just gathering people up. They were literally kidnapping some people and just bringing them, especially children, bringing them. They kidnapped the children and put them in a jail. Then they would make the run from England to the Americas. So it was really. I'm not, saying feel sorry, but it was really a lot of BS that was going on at that time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But so I'm gonna mute up on that one. I'm in this work van. It's loud as shit in here.
Yeah, I'm
It
getting ready to get off anyway because I was on for 2 hours. I don't like to make long lives. I'm gonna go and get me some dinner, and I really enjoyed brother Eric, Straight Smoke, Curious coming up on the panel with me and the chat room for vibing with me today. And I try not to make them too long so people can rewatch them and get their take on the lecture and the information that I put up to try to come up with these conclusions because we if we're going to write about our history, we have to take responsibility of doing that. We
Can I
can't
ask you?
keep
Can
letting
I ask you
people
another
that's
question? This is better.
sure.
Okay, because you've been on this longer than me, so I like your viewpoint, especially people on the panel. All right, when I hear y'all teach about this and I started researching and look, there seems like something unique occurred that I don't think happened much. Maybe it did happen where we saw with these so-called great societies. It's almost like different cultures came together and formed a mastermind. Like everybody try to take credit for the colony or the states and whatever it became. But if you really look at it, it seems like our families, some of them left the territories because it looked better in the colonies or it looked better there. And they all brought their best to something which formed something never seen before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but you have to remember before they came here, we already had a system here. And they're actually a mock of our system, the 50 states.
Hmm.
We were already set up and we already had structures here when they came over here. They mimicked our system.
I don't disagree with that. But what I'm saying is everybody kind of still puts their twist on something. And if you take different, you got black Europeans, you got our people, their people, a trying to a different breed of people, a different mentality called YT people, and all this coming together still can would form a something new, wouldn't it?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's what attracted everybody was that something new. Because it's just like now, we can go to a store and they build something on the other corner. You've been going to this store for I don't know how long, but soon they put something new over there. What does everybody do? They want to go to the new store. They get the new way, the new system, and I think that
The
kind
new
of pulled
life.
everybody. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of people from all over the world at our pearly gates because they want a new way of life. They want the American dream. And before these colonizers came, they wanted the American dream. That's why they came here. Because we had the dream and they entered our dream. Because we was already here with the structures that you see up in the back.
gotcha.
Those structures were already there and they were there. We just don't know how long. They could have been here uh, for thousands and thousands of years. And we are the ones who built them. See, we're not the Indians that were the Tontos that you see in Hollywood, these primitive Indians. I guarantee you that we never lived in tents. They came in and took over what we already had. And
I
there
can
were
see
big
that.
homes and castles and we had big homes, like big family homes that held 16 kids in them. So we had big houses and the wars came and a lot of us were ran out of our homes and they just moved their little funky butts in them.
Yeah,
So we already had a system here. And there's a couple of brothers on here that teach about that when they're serious, like A1, um at Power, who else? A1 and at Power are really good at teaching about the structure. And if I forgot anybody's name, forgive me. But A1 and Aboriginal Power, they will teach you about how these structures were here for so many years and we built them and how we never lived a primitive lifestyle. When you're talking about the primitive lifestyle, those are the Native Americans, and a lot of them are of Mexican and Asian descent.
right.
They show you in their movies how their primitive lifestyle. If you look at China, they lived in tents and they fought with bows and arrows. That's Native American primitive lifestyle. We didn't live that. We lived our butts in apartment buildings and homes, brick houses. That was our thing. We built brick houses. Now, um, after the war and stuff, we began building these log cabin like houses. Cause like, look at Abe Lincoln. He was born in a log cabin. He was poor. So it gets interesting. But the thing is that we as a people, we have to do our own history. Otherwise, we're leaving it out to foreigners who are not of this land to write about our history. And a lot of these people that write about our history are not us. So I'm digging in and I'm fixing it. And they consolidated us Indians with Africans and um black Europeans. And no, we want to stand out because we are a people and we are a neglected people.
Yeah, very true. Because I guess it's something hard to absorb, especially when I talk to my daughter and my son. You talk to people in their 20s, you'll realize how disconnected we are. Because like my mother went to a so-called Indian or black school, so you know my age group just started going to school and being taught by others. So for the longest, we weren't taught by other people.
Correct.
So that's a new what 100 new phenomena.
Oh yeah. Like our public school systems, they were formerly Indian education systems.
Right.
They just changed the name to public school, but it was formerly Indian public schools, Indian public housing. HUD was Indian public housing. It wasn't HUD. It was before it was HUD. It was Indian public housing. And that was from us. They created these public housings because of the fights in the South. So they built inner cities. But we were in the inner cities already too. We were everywhere. Some of us are literally not from the South, but have always lived in the inner cities as a people. So, yeah. So, but I'll be back this weekend to talk about some more stuff that I really wanted to get into. Because we're gonna start going outside to get folks to complete these surveys that we have about our education, asking them questions. And I'm going to show people how they could really come up with some really valuable information. And it becomes primary source because these are real people filling out the surveys. And it's a real company that's conducting the survey. It's going to be conducted under Wyatt Nation. And we're a real company. And so we'll be doing some surveys, and we're doing it here in Connecticut. We're going to start in Connecticut and hit the major inner cities. So, and we'll be live while we're doing it because I want other people to take advantage of doing the same thing.
Wow.
So until then, brothers, I'm going to get up off of here because I'm tired. I'm really hungry. I came straight off of work, straight to here, and I'm very hungry. But I appreciate you. I hope you guys continue to watch me, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so that you'll be notified when I go live. Get on our email distribution list so that I can send you emails. I'll put the information out. It should be in the chat. It should have been where our website is, where a lot of my slides, you're able to download them and keep them for yourselves. Like the slides I went over today. Yeah, those are on our website where you could download them and put them in a book and, start your research. My slides don't always think that it's the 100% truth, but it's at least it's something to get you started. So you should be downloading my slides and putting them in binders. If you like to read, if you don't like to just read online, you can literally download them and put them into 3-ring binders. But you guys take it easy. I love y'all. And I'm about to get out of here.
Thank you, Sister Beth.
Welcome.